is my review for Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 1. This show is crazy. I love this show. That's all I wanted to say in the beginning. I love the show. But the episode started off with Walt turning 24. Not 24. My fault. 52. And basically he breaks the bacon up into little pieces, and it's spells out, or comes out 52. So he has a conversation with the waiter, which seemed like a theme in his personality and his thing, where he don't like handouts or anything else. And I find this very interesting when the waiter tells him that it's free if it's his birthday, and he says no. Then she tells him even if you're rich, free is still good. So she broke him down into getting his ID so he can get a free meal. Now, as you see in the background while he's talking to the waiter, you see the gun runner, or the gun dealer. He goes in the bathroom, and Walt proceeds to go behind him, and then he passes on money to him, and then you see Walt says, do it come with a manual? And he says, well, yeah, I'll pull something off the internet. And then he asks him, which was crazy, and it's kind of a key to next summer's 8th episode. It's not a new season. It's the next 8 episodes that we're gonna see next summer in 2013. Excuse me. He asked him, is this gonna spill over into, I think, over the border or in Mexico? I don't know. I don't think which one, but I gotta watch it again because I saw it one time. But he said, is it gonna spill over? And I think either this shows that he's in a war with someone, or he's trying to survive an attack. But that weapon that he has is not made for defense, but it's made for ultra attack. And for him to use that weapon telling me that he might have a war on his hands, and that's probably something from the future. You should look out for. He might have to go against a number of people, or he might have his own organization by the end of this 8 episode season. About the end of the 8 episodes, by the end of August? Yeah, by the end of August. The 8th episode, he might have his own empire, and he might have to defend it. Then we zip back to the present, and what the present is, this is right after Gustavo dies. Thus, he waits for his family to come home, but he looks around and sees that the whole house is dirty, so he cleans everything up, including the white lily, or the whatever that flower is he used to poison Bach, which I'm gonna bring up later on, who really poisons Bach. He puts it in there and waits for his family to come home. As soon as his family come home, his wife is still surprised at the fact that her husband was capable of killing 3 people. She didn't know he had that in him. When she should have believed that when he said, I'm the one who knocks, she should have believed that he's not the same man she married back then. Walt Jr., he's sitting there, excited about the whole thing about the Gustavo situation, the hang in between it, how Gustavo, was a criminal all along, and somebody caught him, and the danger's over. And then, after that, you see Walt walks into the room and asks, see his wife and asks her if, she, is happy that he's safe, and she said, yeah. But then she turned around and she, he's like, what's wrong? He's like, yeah, I'm glad you're safe, but I'm also scared. And he's like, scared of what? You. She walks out, and, this is not Walter White. This is not Walter White. This is Heisenberg, okay? He tilts the glass to the mirror, like, good job. But as he tilts the glass to himself, he gets up and he finds out, like, whoa, wait, I forgot something. I can't rest. So, what he forgot is, what Hank discovered was everything, Jesse and Walt destroyed. They destroyed the lab. They destroyed everything, but there's still traces of their affiliation with Gus still in that camera. And then it goes to a scene where Mike finds out that Gus is dead. So he tries to, he hurries up back to America, or I think on the border, where he is met up with Jesse and Walt. And he gets out the car, he knew it was Walt. He proceeds to tell him that, I gotta kill him. I need to kill him, and Jesse's telling him to stop. And this is kind of new. This is kind of crazy to see Jesse have this much power over another person, because throughout the whole Breaking Bad, he has been having a little power as possible next to Walt, but now you see how Jesse has a hold on someone that's actually very dangerous, and just as dangerous as Walt is. It's kind of cool to see that finally he's not the he's an equal to Walt now, instead of a lackey or like a downgrade partner. But Jesse tells him don't do it, hear him out, and then that's when Walt explains to Mike that their affiliation with Gus is in the laptop. They contain in the laptop where Gus was basically spying and watching Walt, Jesse, in the operation. So Walt doesn't do anything, so he can watch him and predict his moves and everything else. But Mike helps him. Mike decides to help him out, and they ran into a wall because it got already put in the evidence where Hank was one step ahead of Walt, which is kind of new because he was always 8 steps back of Walt. But now he's ahead of Walt. But Walt shows, which this whole episode shows, that Walt is now Heisenberg. The transformation is practically done, and he always seemed to be 10 steps ahead of everybody else. So he argues with Mike, how they're going to get in and get the laptop out of evidence that the evidence that Hank attained. Then they proceed to argue and proceed to do that, and then the conversation between Walt and him is like, you're gonna try to blow up a police station. You wasn't happy with blowing up a senior citizen home. And he was like, they was arguing, they was taking shots at each other for a little bit. Well, they wasn't taking shots at each other. Mike was taking shots at him mostly. Then you see, Jesse comes up with the bright idea to use a magnet, and then we see the junkyard character from season 3, I think. And then we see him, and he calls someone who creates the Magnum, the magnet, my fault, the magnet. And, Jesse pulls out the Dell laptop and everything works out. Magnet goes there and you hear the famous lines, "Yes, bitch." That was funny. Then you got, after that, they proceed with the plan to, destroy the evidence that they got on Jesse, Mike, and Walt. And after that scene, it panned out. The cops came, they left the truck there, and while, they were speeding away in like kind of a victory, Jesse, he was amped up about, breaking into a police station and actually, sticking the middle finger to them and literally destroying evidence inside of there. I think that was his super enjoyment. Where it came from is like sticking the middle finger to the cops. But then Mike turns around and was like, "Why are you getting so excited? How you know that it destroyed the evidence?" And Walt was like, "Yeah, it destroyed the evidence." And then he was like, "Well, why would you leave the truck there?" And he was like, the truck was left there, but he was like, "Well, I got everything covered. There was no prints, there was no trail back to us, the batteries is not traceable, the car is not traceable, they don't know, they won't lead it to the junkyard, they won't lead it to the junkyard man, and they won't lead it to us." And then he said, "Well, you have a lot of faith, you seem to have all the answers, but how do I know that the evidence is not there anymore?" And he says, "Because I said so." And I love, this just shows in this episode that Walt is not Walt anymore, it's Heisenberg. Now, it comes to another scene where I think, let's see, I might cut into some rails, but it comes to a scene where the whole Skylar situation where she got into Ted, she feels sorry and all this other stuff, that's not important. We get over that. Then you proceed to the lines that everything we saw for, like, leading up to the premiere, where he has a conversation with Salt that leads up to the whole line with him saying, "We're done where I said we're done." Turns out that Saul helped Walt poison Brock, and he didn't know that he was going to get poisoned like that and get in the hospital. So Saul tells Walt that I'm done. I'm done with everything. I'm done with your wife. I'm done with you. You're a little bit over. You too much. You too much for me to handle. Oh yeah, no, my fault. It was another dialogue too between him and Walt when he said, I had morals. I didn't want to do this, and then Walt tells him, like, "What are you talking about? You have morals? You have morals? You have morals now?" And he's kind of like, dragging him in the mud, like, when do you have morals? You're a 2-bit lawyer that protects criminals, defend criminals. When do you become moral? You have a moral compass. And then, he looks at him and he tells him, I'm done, I'm done with everything. And he's like, well, gets up, looks at him, stares him with a cold stare like you never saw him before, and looks at him and proceeds to walk to him and tells him, he slammed the chair a little bit. He didn't throw the chair, it didn't go with much force, but it spun around. And he says, we're done when I said we're done. And he said it with such force, and you saw that Saul was scared. So in this episode, we see many things. We saw Walt might have to go to war with someone in the near future. We see Jesse being more of an equal to Walt. Mike, I don't know, Mike seemed to be more understanding how Walt is, and this episode shows that Walt is no longer scared of anybody in his way, because in the past he was scared of Mike. You know, he was scared of him, but he never flinched at the gun. He just stood there, and he even talked back to Mike when the gun was on him. And now Mike, you know, Mike is just throwing shots at him, calling him, you know, a psycho, a scumbag. You know, Mike sees him as more of the same level as Gus. It's just he never did anything to him yet, which takes me to the next episode, the season 2 episode. Now, some tells me that if Walt is, in fact, surpassed Gus in kind of the, you know, the higher level of, you know, in more everything from, you know, as a crime boss, a mastermind, then I think that he is going to know a lot of things, and he's going to have every single piece in his pocket, and he's just waiting to move the pieces of the puzzle together. I don't know, that one episode, this one episode told a lot, told a hell of a lot more than any other episode on TV. That's why I respect the show a lot more than I respect a whole bunch of shows. The shows, you know, give you a little bit, but then, you know, if you can figure it out, you can see that it gives you a whole bunch just in the one episode. And, you know, this is Breaking Bad, one of the best shows on TV right now. So, I'll see you guys later. Cool Game 21. I mean, my fault. Cool Game 24 here. A little sleepy. And, you know, it's been real.